Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stoic Quotes. It's that time of the week again, and today we're going back to the big homie Seneca, aka the main event, and the quote goes a little something like this. The whole future is uncertain. Live immediately. Now, it's not often that I come across a quote that produces I don't want to say a vitriolic reaction, but a strong reaction in opposition, that is. And this is definitely one of them, because the first thing that popped into my mind was that quote from Jesus from the Bible, and I forget which one it is. It's been so long since I've read it, and I'm paraphrasing as well, so you'll forgive me for that. It reminds me of his dictum: have no thought for the morrow, abandon all your possessions and come follow me, live now, and for the promise of an eternal life afterwards. So for me, I don't necessarily agree with it in that sense, because again, like I said, as soon as I read this quote, that's my first thought, and I don't agree with that Jesus quote. So I'm just like, maybe I think this one might be a bust. But let's explore it a little bit further. Of course, he's absolutely right. Seneca hits the nail right on the head. The whole future is uncertain. I wouldn't necessarily say that's correct, though, because let's say, for example, if you're doing, for most people, if you're doing a caloric deficit for a weight loss cut, if you're restricting your calories, you should be eating, let's say, 2,700 calories in order to maintain your weight. If you drop that by 1,000 and you're eating 1,700 calories, I think you're pretty sure what the result is going to be. You're going to lose weight. And so that future essentially is certain. Now, of course, there are some exceptions with, if you have a medical condition and so on and so forth, but that future definitely will be certain because, again, it's simple math, right? At least to me, anyway. So I don't necessarily agree with him when he says the whole future is uncertain, but what I do believe that he's trying to say is that there is this vast specter of the unknown. It's perhaps not quite Lacan's big other, but there is this shadow which we keep walking towards, this abyss, this darkness, and that darkness is the end of existence, and we don't know which corner it's behind. So when he says the whole future is uncertain, live immediately, not only is he, the second thing that I thought of, I thought it was kind of funny. Not only is it the ancient world's version of YOLO, is Seneca Drake, but the underlying message of that is not necessarily you only live once, but it's you have to be present in the moment because you don't know what's behind the next corner. Now, I agree with that to a certain extent. So I sort of overcame my vitriol. But in that sense, I do agree with him. If living immediately doesn't necessarily have to mean, don't plan ahead. It doesn't necessarily have to mean you're not going to know what happens in the future if you set yourself to a particular task. What I think Seneca is trying to communicate is that we really just don't know where we're going to end up in life. We don't know what the meaning of it is. We don't know when we're going to die. And I think that his dictum to live immediately, in the sense of, it's essentially he's trying to say, don't let life pass you by. Stop and smell the roses for a little bit, but try to be as present as possible. And I think that this message, while it is important, has really become the market nowadays is oversaturated with it because everyone says, oh, I have to be more present. Let me meditate to be more present. And for me, that kind of essentially the meditation to be more present is kind of a paradox in and of itself because you're sort of sequestering yourself and you're taking a little break from everything else. You're trying to create this hermetic environment to be more present when, if anything, the opposite should be true. You should be putting yourself right in medias res, in the middle of the action, in order to be more present. At least that's the way that I think. But I do agree with the underlying dictum to live immediately. You have to appreciate the moments that you're in, because you don't know if it's going to be your last. And I think that's the underlying message of it. I think it is a good call to arms in order to say that, yes, we should appreciate the people around us more. We should appreciate the sights around us a little bit more, the beauty around us. And if that's what Seneca was trying to communicate, I agree with it. I can certainly see how this message can be warped to a certain extent. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, like I said, I think it's a good quote nonetheless. I don't agree with a whole lot of it, and I for the reasons that I explained previously. But with the live immediately and the fact that there are certain parts of the future that are uncertain, I agree 100%, and I think it's a great one. But anyway, have I completely missed the mark? Please let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below. Drop a like on the video as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching.